When technology and humanity cross. Before we proceed, I know that you were all familiar with technology for it was being discussed in the last chapters. But let's have a short overview as a recap. Technology is from the Greek words techne, which means an art, skill, craft, or the way, manner, or means by which a thing is gained. And logos, a word, the utterance by which inward thought is expressed, a saying or an expression. In my own words, technology is something from man's mind that made into reality for its particular usage, which is similar to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary's definition of technology, a practical application of knowledge, especially in a particular area. Now I have a question. A situation of still having this pandemic. Do you think we can easily move or switch into online learning without the presence of technology? I guess no, right? Without technology, stop operation gid siguro ang tanan. Diri na dayon mosulod unsa ka importante ang technology to humanity. It affects the way we live, communicate, and interact, especially in education, medicine, transportation, economy, communication, and politics. Each person in society is directly or indirectly affected by technology, whether he wills it or not. For technology is an inevitable part of society. What are the advantages of technology? It plays an important role in our life in terms of convenience. It made our life easy. Traveling has become faster than before. And in communication, it becomes more comfortable, faster, and cheaper. Sa una, di ba, kanang mugasto pa ka para makaabot ang message sa receiver. Tapos, maghulat pa kag pila ka days ay hatong makaabot sa receiver nimo. But now, we were able to connect with people even if we're miles apart from each other. Tapos, dili lang pud tingog atong madunggan, right? Pwede na po na ito makita ilang faces virtually. Technology satisfies our pleasure. Innovations in technology increase the standard of living. And using various technology, man becomes more advanced. The impossible has become possible due to the progress of science and technology. And science and technology made a lot of things easy to do and comfortable for men. Of course, kung asa to comfortable, dito po ta maka-feel og happiness. Now, let's proceed to disadvantages of having technology. To make it short, and as a reminder to everyone that anything too much is bad. It can cause addiction and it can generate harmful consequences for children. The misuse or invention to produce bad results. Example to this is the cyber crimes or any illegal things and damaging purposes. Technology creates various dilemmas. This includes terrorist easy access. Many illnesses are created due to the development of atomic energy and atomic bomb. We have the environmental issues like pag-angat sa isa, nabiyaan ng isa or na-down ng isa. Because we cannot deny the fact that natural beauty is decreasing due to the development of modern technology.
We all know that technology has many advantages that it renders to humans, but there are certain limitations to what humanity can apply to it in almost everything that they do. So listed are the sum of the factors that limits technology. First is the law of physics. So these include the pragmatic implications for distributed systems. Engineers need to consider the relativistic effects wherein there is no such thing as absolute time. So next is quantum effects, theoretical as well as practical limits to information density. So, limited lang gid ang atong ma-store sa memory of that certain technology. Then, thermodynamic effects. Software is weightless, but containers for software are not. And computation itself produces heat, which is the elements that is significant in astrophysics. And this thermodynamic effect happen when the container that will dissipate heat wherein that limits the use of the technology. Next is the software loss. An example of software limitation when kanabitang na given computations and sometimes we can do it and sometimes we can't afford it and sometimes we just don't know. The next is the challenge of algorithms. Limitations for algorithms is that there are also certain classes of problems that are on good algorithm data, compression, and photorealistic, which renders two such problems like theoretical limits of compressing an image, a waveform, video, or some raw stream of bits, some degree of information loss, hairy mathematics, some trial and error, lack of perfect knowledge, add complexity and compromise to our systems. So, next is the difficulty of distribution and concurrency. So, a distributed system is one in which the failure of computing you didn't even know existed can render your computer unusable. This is said by Leslie Lamport. And no software is an island unto itself. So, software integrates with other pieces of a system. The average software developer doesn't have as a core competency the ability to develop secure, concurrent, and distributed system. So next is problems of design. So the entire history of software engineering is that of the rise in levels of abstractions, the limitations of human understanding, building for resilience, sometimes worse is better, the discovery of patterns. The problem is that the designers don't know yet how to fully exploit their system's power's capacity. So the halting factor often reveals a system inability to exploit capabilities. The best systems are plagiarized from prior working systems where new improves on old in a form of artificial evolution. There is a problems of design na tackle po diri nga when we have two competing ideas which makes the same predictions or outcome katong mas simple ang mas better. So the problems of functionality. Brooks writes to consider the requirements, functionality, and non-functionality of a machine like multi-engine aircraft, a cellular phone, or an autonomous robot with limitations such as usability, survivability, and adaptability. Unrestrained, potentially contradictory, internal requirements are too complex to design. So next is importance of organization. One of the most important discoveries in recent years is that of patterns. It is by understanding these patterns that we can produce better software. Patterns are also allows us to reuse, which in itself can be more efficient. So, all meaningful development is formed by the resonance of activities that beat at different rhythms. Most are based on the activities of one developer. Vitally important are the social dynamics among a small set of developers and the dynamics of teams. So next is the impacts of economics. So technological advancement cost money. So with that, according to Barry Bowen, the equation of performance includes complexity, process, team, and tools. So performance is represented by effort over time. Then complexity by volume of human gene code. Then process is by methods, notations, and maturity. While ang team is by skill set, experience, and motivation. While lastly, ang tools is by software process automation. And the next is ang influence of politics. So success is defined by a software development team is sometimes misaligned with success as defined by the management team. So frequently, software is used as a strategic weapon or as a pawn. So manager often say the company needs to get a foothold in the marketplace, hence for their developers to rush things through with negative consequences. And then, so investment in software development is the key to success. And ang political organizations can influence its progress and its limitations. And all in all, software and the technology can amplify human intelligence, but there are limits. And software can never replace human judgment and cannot create knowledge in itself. We can have amazing visions, but turning it into reality is another thing. Not everything we want to build can be built, and not everything that can be built should be built. That's all.
Humanity. From Latin word humanitas, which means human nature, kindness. Humanity includes all the human, and it also refers to the kind of feeling humans often have for each other. The human race, including everybody on earth. It is also a term for the qualities that make us human, such as the capacity to love, sympathize, be creative, and not be a robot or alien. So, kitang human, natin mga characteristic and ability nga mag-love, sympathize, and creative. For love, for example, love for our families, for our special someone, and for friends, and also for our relatives. Then for sympathize, kitang human makafeel gyud tag tanan og sympathy. For example, nakasala ka sa isa ka tao, so you need to say sorry for them. And another example is you feel sympathy for someone because you understand that person problem. Then for creative, kita tanan creative kahit sa adaw-adaw na nga ginabuhat. Like example is kaning mga technology atong ginabuhat. Isa na ni siya sa atong pagka-creative. Every year, natay ma-discover nga technology or gadgets. And being creative is ability to make or think of new things. Involving the process, which ideas of stories, technologies, and others. Di gyud ta matawag or robot or alien kay like the robot, ang robot is gihimo ra pud na siya human. Ang robot is although magabuhat na siya og murag human but wala na sila brain kay kana sila gikan na pud na sila sa human. Then for human beings are still delivering technological advancement, and it all depends on how wisely they will use this technological advancement to reach into a mature human being with a reasonable chance of reaching and enjoying the quality of life until old age. Ditang mga tao still gabuhat ta aning mga technologies. Halos sa mga tao maong gagamit nato kay we all know that technology can make our life easier and our job easier. Magdepende ra sa tuwa kung unsaon nato paggamit ang technology, kay some people dili nila ginagamit ang technology sa sakto nga paagi. Then we also aware nga because of technology we are less communication to our families, but also what they said, it also depends on us to how this technology to make our life enjoyable until we were all getting older. So today humanity is advanced. Human have some a long way from the cave, but the question is how far they can still go. Is there a limit to technology process? What does this mean for humanity's distant future? As a part of this technological advancement of hinges on the longevity of human species to advance far ahead in science and technology, and the wisdom to use these human beings need time. So as part of the technological advancement, it depends for how many years on the length of our lives sa mga tao or kitang mga tao. Ang kitang mga tao, we need a time to study for this technological advancement. Aron natay knowledge kung usaon paggamit ana nga butang. So, the two roads to take in humanity are ascension of all humankind and other in complete and total destruction. Meaning, in humanity is the act of rising of all people or as a group of people, and the other is being complete and destruction by damaging of something.
So first, we're going to tackle the United States of America. According to the U.S. Industrial Competitiveness and Technological Advancement article in 2012, U.S. industry technological advancement has frequently been reinforced by congressional initiatives over the past 30 years and more direct measures that concern budget outlays and the provisions of services government and indirect measures that include economic and legal changes. However, many of these efforts have been revised over the past several Congress. And as what you can see in the screen, that is efforts have been revised from the United States of America. So the increase in economic growth and the technology applications is the development of use of technology play a vital role in determining international trade patterns by affecting industrial sectors' comparative advantages. Since technological progress is not necessarily determined by economic conditions, but can be influenced by advances in science. So overall, the organization and management of firms and government activity can affect trade independent of macroeconomics factors. New technologies also help reward for possible disadvantages in the cost of capital and labor handled by firms. Next, Canada, USA, North and South America to Europe and Asia Pacific. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD. So, what is OECD? Way back to the origins of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, is date back to 1960 when 18 European countries, the United States and Canada, merged an organization dedicated to economic development. Today, 35 countries are members around the world from North and South America to Europe and Asia Pacific. They include many of the world's most advancement countries and emerging economies like Mexico, Chile, and Turkey. So the OECD provides seating, and today, OECD, as what you can see in the screen, is one of the policies and technological advancement of the SID countries, Canada, USA, North and South America to Europe and Asia Pacific. Since the scientific developments and technological changes are important drivers of current economic performance, creating, distributing, and exploiting knowledge has become a significant source of competitive advantage, wealth creation, and improvement in life quality. Some features of this transformation are the growing impact of information technologies, or ICT, on the economy and society. Rapid application of new scientific advances is new products and process. A high rate of innovation across OECD countries, a change to more knowledge-intensive industries and services, and rising skill requirements. Lastly, Philippines. The Philippines can follow the technological innovation strategies imposed by Japan and South Korea. With a synchronized and consistent overall industrial strategy, the Philippines can move up to economic reforms. The government should also expand human resources, infrastructure, incentives, and research institutions to help the system grow.
So when we say ethical dilemmas, it's also called ethical paradoxes or moral dilemmas, are situations in which an agent stands under two conflicting moral requirements, none of which overrides to others. And ethical dilemmas is somewhat doing the right thing and challenges to us people. So in ethical dilemmas, there are 10 ethical dilemmas and policies issued for 2015 in no particular order. So first is the real-time satellite surveillance video, in which they can inform us about environmental meteorology. They give information from outside of the world that it might be smaller or more sophisticated. So in real-time satellite surveillance video, we can say that makita na to nga ang outside of the world is gamay ba siya dako or mas ana. Second is astronaut bioethics of colonizing Mars. So plans for long-term space mission 2 and the colonization of Mars are already underway. So along the way, they are planning to launch robotic mission so that makita nila ang naa sa Mars. And then they had planned to have 418 men and 287 women all around the world in 2025. So next, we have wearable technology. So when we say wearable technology, it's accessories that can be worn in our day-to-day life. So ang example ani is ang ring, smart jewelries, watches, and many more. The fourth one is state-sponsored hacktivism and software. So in this part of ethical dilemmas, it can use as tactics to achieve goals in political or other goals all around the world. So next, we have enhanced pathogens, in which the researcher studied the virulence of avian or human influenza viruses, and it actually accidentally increased in mice, ferrets, or even mammals. So the sixth one is non-lethal weapons. So this is array of weapons that used in policemen, firemen, and many more. So makita natin siya sa police like kanilang ginagamit na pusil. And then, so next is robot swarm. So this is used to get monitored of the environment, establish communication of network, search for objects, and also all this formation will be found in shape. So the eighth one is artificial life forms. So this ethical dilemmas focused on custom building life form to address specific purposes. Resilient social ecological systems. So it is the ability of ecosystem to respond to a natural disaster such as shall we say earthquakes, tsunami, and floods, or many more at mga disasters, mga natural occurring mga disasters. And the last one sa ethical dilemmas is brain-to-brain interface. So, may lang mga taning brain-to-brain interface. So, brain-to-brain interface is somewhat allow for technology-mediated direct communication between two brains without involving the peripheral nervous system. And it is also allow the human to collaborate and solve tasks using brain-to-brain communication.